I gotta tell you, I watched it twice now. I loved it the first time, and I liked it the second time. I'm not saying that I feel any less different, but I definitely have advice into how you should go into this movie. Let's talk about the new Marvel Studios project, Thor: Love and Thunder. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing Thor: Love and Thunder, which is coming to theaters very soon in July. The date's not important because you already know when it's coming out. I know you're all waiting for the next big Marvel blockbuster. But yeah, Thor 4, Thor: Love and Thunder. Checked it out twice. I loved it the first time. The second time I liked it. And I don't think I necessarily liked it less. I truly think it had a lot to do with the environment. I feel like the first set of group of people I went to see it with, everybody was very open to it. I think everybody loved it. A lot of excitement, a lot of laughs, a lot of good energy. Second time felt very isolated, dead, uninvested, to the point that I'm thinking that maybe people went into this not wanting to like it. And that's a very interesting thing. I mean, that's kind of how it is. You know, when the first group of people get to see it, they're kind of are the ones who set the tone. But then I think there's this whole second wave of things where people are just like, I don't believe it. And much like my video I put out, that, you know, my I watched it video, which is just my social reaction to it, very short 30-second video. You know, people were criticizing me on, did I get paid to do this? And no, I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I laughed a lot. It was a very fun movie, a lot of good moments. Cinematography was amazing. I mean, Taika is just fantastic, both in acting or voice acting in this, and just overall putting the project together. And again, I think, you know, from where the Thor franchise started to where it's at now, I think it's been one of the best resurgence of a friend of should I say of a franchise, of a, well, not a trilogy because it's 4 of them, but of a series, you know, because, like, you know, at first the first one was like yay, second one was like no, third one was like yay, and this was like yes, you know. That's kind of my whole reaction to it and whatnot. But let's kind of put things into perspective here. Now, Thor happens to be the Avenger that has really suffered the most. Like, he's lost everybody around him. And with that, you know, going into this, he is definitely dealing with those feelings. Jane, on the other half, is on Earth, and she has stage 4 cancer. And, you know, while she's trying everything to try to figure it out, she's trying to prevent having to reach out to Thor. They had a breakup, so, you know, she doesn't need him for help. But things are getting very serious, and she's really looking for answers however way she can. And that's where, you know, she ends up taking a look around New Asgard just to find the broken hammer all around, and realizing that this may be her saving grace. This becomes her ultimate transformation into the mighty Thor. Not to be mistaken as Lady Thor or She Thor or any of those other things. It's the mighty Thor, or Dr. Jane Foster, as you may. But yeah, because of this, you know, this has this once broken up couple now kind of face to face with a threat of Gorr the God Butcher. Gorr basically is out here as a loyal servant to the gods, but the gods had betrayed him. All he wanted to do was save his daughter. And the gods were just like, no, we're not doing any favors. And this betrayal has landed him in a way now where he feels like he has a sworn duty. And that's because with him now being able to, being almost summoned by the Necro Sword, which is a sword that can kill the gods, this now sends him as almost it is a personal vendetta to kill all of the gods because of their betrayal to himself, his daughter, and all of the people who have suffered. So, you know, with that, he is a guy who is, again, a vendetta against the gods, but ultimately the retaliation for what happened to his daughter dying, which ultimately is going to have him to run paths against the God of Thunder. But beyond this, he also has a very he has a plan in terms of not only needing to kill the gods, but actually needing Thor in particular in order to kind of streamline his path into killing all the gods. So that's kind of where the whole dilemma comes about. You know, and for a plot to kind of be very simple, it worked. Just tons of laughs. I just can't stress that enough. You know, from the moments when Thor is with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's definitely still very much like in his feelings, and with Star-Lord definitely poking at it. You know, we understand the whole dynamic between Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, they are here, they're any distress calls, that's what they're after. And Thor really didn't have any purpose, so you figure he'll go. I mean, he's lost everything and everyone around him, so you figure he'll just go. But he's still very lonely and sad. But when a certain distress signal leads him to pry apart, where the Guardians are doing what they do. They're the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're answering all different types of distress signals all over the galaxy. Thor has to go save a friend, and that's where he learns about the whole predicament with Gorr. So there's that. Now, again, I think the script is really good because there's really good dialogues, really good moments. Some of the best and funniest parts of this film is the laughing donkeys. I think they're goats, should I say? They laugh, so you would think they're donkeys, but they're goats. So, you know, you have that. What else type of thing? I think, like, in terms of Gorr and his presentation, I liked it. I know there will be folks who may not love it based on the comic book accuracy of it. Not really there, but I actually love what they did. Christian Bale is just fantastic, number one, as it. I should definitely mention that. But I think also too is just that, you know, the cinematography behind him, especially when they go to when they go to his home world, where he basically, his powers is enhanced in the Shadow Realm. That's where everything goes black and white. I really love it. It instantly gives you Sin City vibes. You know, it's the cinematography, the special effects. The CGI is a little heavy in some of these scenes, but it still looks very, very crisp and fantastic. I love Jane's story. I thought Jane's story was some of the best parts of this film. You know, and I love Tessa as Valkyrie. I loved her story in this as well too. And by the way, this film has a lot of good queer moments of it, which wasn't forced. Very natural, you know, some with Valkyrie, some with Thor as well too. So like, I thought the representation of the film was done well and in a good, tasteful way. So it's, you know, this film just did a lot of good things. One thing I really loved was the costume design. The suits were amazing. And I think Jane's and Thor's first scene together was like legendary. Like, I love those moments, and the score complimenting it. It was just really wow. And there was tons of like kind of jaw-dropping moments in this film. Especially towards the end, I was just kind of like, wow. And I mean shocking in a good way, and shocking in like a, I could not believe like that happened type of way. And then when they go to visit Zeus, might I add, and I want to also say that Russell Crowe was just fantastic as Zeus. Really shined in his very limited role in Zeus. Keep an eye out for all the gods that are sitting around the Golden Temple. Like, yeah, there may be some you may be familiar with, and if not, there will be some that you will definitely laugh at. I will say that. And just that whole scene period is funny. Some with Thor, we know about Thor kind of showing some butt for the first time, the first bare butt scene in all of the MCU. But there's some other funny aspects to that as well too. And then there's just some funny cameos of some very prominent actors in this, and in a very funny, hilarious stint in this. So, you know, be ready for that. But ultimately, there's another little story arc going on here, and that has to do with Stormbreaker, because Stormbreaker is, you know, Thor's very much OP weapon of choice, because Mjolnir is disintegrated or was broken. But now that it's back, because the mighty Thor has it, Thor's kind of like, hey, where'd you been? And then Stormbreaker is definitely acting like the jealous girlfriend as he sees his ex-girlfriend with his ex-weapon. And the funny antics of Stormbreaker is out of this world hilarious. I never, under no circumstance, knew that Stormbreaker will be such a pivotal part in the comedy in this film. Like, for real, for real. So it's very funny, like, for real. And then again, you know, like, I thought there was tons of cute moments. I thought there was moments that were just so funny in ways that I did not even think was going to be funny. And towards the end, you get a bunch of Asgardian kids really stole the show. Axel, for one, who's Heimdall's son, is one to watch for. The moments that this kid have, I think, is super special, super hilarious. I just could not stop laughing, like, for real, for real. But yeah, overall, like I said, Thor's relationship with the two hammers was funny. The ex-girlfriend, the ex-weapon, and just the jealousy factor to that. Jane, as she battles cancer, was a interesting story. Valkyrie being the king and the responsibility of Asgard. I thought Gorr's storyline was also good as well too. Very concise. It never deviated from the two things: revenge for his daughter, and that meant that all the gods had to die. Sometimes with villains, they tend to like deviate off of that path for whatever reason. Like, I hate Thor for whatever reason. Yeah, he's a god, but like also like you're trying to kill all the gods, not just him. The issues I did have with this film, I wish that we got a little more butchering from Gorr. I definitely feel like there was some very questionable plot gaps. There was things that I definitely was like, we might need to explain this. I absolutely feel there has to be an extended cut to this film. The kids, as much as I did like the kids scene, there was a little bit of logic flaw to some of the things that kind of happened there. And I also could tell there was a little bit of blunders in editing. There was a particular scene with Zeus that I was just like, I saw that. That's not how that went. So, nothing to really truly nitpick, but like the film wasn't perfect, but overall I had a good time. So my suggestion is, like, if you see this, totally see this with a crowd with some energy, with some true fans, with some true people who want to go on this with an open heart, not the folks who have already made up their mind. Because overall, I think this was very fun. I love this aesthetic of this film. And I mean, with this old school action hero and the title lines and graphics and everything. I mean, like, I love that. I love how they truly embrace, like, what Love and Thunder is and how it's, like, being branded and how it shows from the music to the outfits and everything. I thought it was really good. The opening was really good, especially Thor's first fight. I thought it was really good. And with everything that he's been through and all the sadness, being able to kind of throw in a love story into this and then having a outcome that kind of sends everybody off kind of feeling good. I appreciate that, because it's easily could have been another moment of just like, oh, Thor's sad again, let's be sad. And that's not the guarantee that you may like the ending. I just think that the energy of this film truly was on the up and up to the point that you still kind of feel, a little bit of positivity going forward for what may be next for Thor, the Thor part of the Thor franchise in the MCU. And so on. So, things definitely to come. I can't reveal exactly what. There are two mid-credit stingers that you want to pay attention to. One will have you going, OMG. And the other one is very optimistic. I think that with so many mentions of the second end credit throughout the film, I think it was only right that we had, that we got what we got with that. That's how I feel. So, overall, I loved this, the whole rock album cover thing with the title captions, etc. I love the score. I love how colorful the films were in certain scenes, but I also loved when it was black and white. And I think that Jane's story arc with battling her cancer, but also learning how to be Thor, and her quirkiness and trying to nail her one-liners, trying to find her relevancy in all of this, and trying to like smash her way through everything and to kind of like, really put what's happening to her in the back of her head. I thought like was a really good story. I think it's very relatable for some people as well too. And overall, I think that, just a just a really good film. This was good. I enjoyed this. Had a lot of laughs. I think you will too. So, hey, look, check it out. Thor, Love and Thunder. I don't need to tell you. I know you will. Jump in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about it when you do. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon. Big old Bale.